All right, welcome back to the Roast It Yourself podcast brought to you by Coffee Bean Corral and Current Crop Roasting Shop. I'm Stephen Burnett with Coffee Bean Corral in Jackson, Mississippi, and with me, as always, standing is Catherine Mansell, certified key grader and director of Current Crop Roasting Shop in New Orleans, Louisiana. Now, Catherine, we don't usually do this much work. We don't usually hold ourselves up. Normally, we're letting like gravity and a chair keep us in position. Why are we over here? What are we doing?
We're over here today because we had a really good question about destoning, and we wanted everybody to see equipment that we use here at Coffee Bean Corral that makes everybody's life a little bit easier.
There you go, the green machine. Now, I can't help but notice that a destoning machine implies a stoning machine. So we'll get into okay, there's not that thing. Although I think you found a vape pen that might be a stoning machine at some point. Each week we set aside 10 minutes to make dumb jokes and to field questions from home coffee roasters and professionals alike about roasting, tasting, and most importantly, enjoying coffee. You can send your questions to questions@riypod.com. That's questions@riypod.com to get a nice shout out from us and from the Hound Dogs, and of course to get your question answered. Now, this week's question is from, let's see here. This week's question is from a listener, Daniel, who says, "My name is Daniel." That's how we knew his name was Daniel.
That's how we knew.
"And I recently started listening to your roasting podcast. It's been super helpful, and I enjoy all the extra tips and tricks." Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I just had a question about coffee destoners and rocks/sticks in coffee. I ordered coffee from Coffee Bean Corral in the past, and it was great. I'm hoping to start ordering more, but I didn't know if I should get a destoner to clean the beans, or do you guys do that yourself? Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah.
Now, as we previously kind of alluded to, right here we have our green machine. This is a coffee with a grain sifter. Really, it's good for kind of any grain that you would have, any kind of agricultural product that you would have. And it uses forced air and to separate based on density.
Yeah.
Now, is it going to be 100% accurate?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes 100% accurate. 80% of the time, it's 100% accurate. But really, what we have here is it's a matter of like sorting by density and weight. On this side of the machine, we've got a bucket. The heavier items, the kind of heavier than coffee beans, wind up in that bucket on the left. The bucket on the right is kind of lighter than coffee beans object. The stuff in the middle goes right into the barrel, and that's where we load this up for you guys and send it out the door. And then the stuff at the far end, there's a little net, and that is catching like dust and any kind of paper or like chaff that happens to be loose, string, anything else like that. So we're doing this to separate based on density.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you don't need to get a destoner at your roaster. So let's talk about destoning.
Sure. Well, it really depends on the capacity that you're ordering. You know, if you're ordering a pound or two of coffee at a time, depending on how much time you have on your hands, you could empty out that pound and look through it, put it in the roaster. Once it's finished, look through it again and see if there's anything that you don't want in there. I found a coin from Yemen one time and popcorn in a bag many years ago.
Yes.
But depending on the capacity, a destoner could be helpful. Especially if you're getting into the rancher program, ordering wholesale. These are things that I think would be something positive to help clean everything up.
Yeah, and we did some looking, and there's some destoners that can do like 2,000 pounds of coffee in an hour.
Yeah.
So really, it is something that, there's not really an upper limit. Basically, you can, as much coffee as you can put out roasting, you can get it destoned. Now, we would recommend that if you destone coffee, you destone it on the roasted side. It's just easier because, as you know, when coffee roasts, it increases in its size. The density goes down, and so it's much easier for a machine like even this grain sifter or destoner to tell the difference between roasted coffee and stone or rock or stick or something that's much more dense.
Yeah.
At the point where they're all unroasted coffee, kind of looks like pebbles. Mm-hmm. And if you have a little pebble in there, it's roughly the same color, it's roughly the same density, it's roughly the same size.
Right.
It's going to get through a machine like this.
Yeah.
Because this is just separating based on density. But once you roast, that coffee is much larger, much less dense, and it's going to be much easier to get your machine calibrated to separate out roasted coffee from something like a rock or a stone or something like that.
Exactly.
And it's called a destoner because at the end of the day, a stick is going to make your coffee tastes not good.
Right.
Like ground stick isn't great, but a stone can actually damage your grind
Exactly.
or your customer's grind.
Right.
And that is something to be really cautious about. So one reason that we sift here green, but we always recommend if you are going to be roasting coffee and selling roasted, especially in a batch situation, if you're selling to say somebody who's got a diner or going to be making coffee, dumping a lot of it in a grinder, grinding it all at once. You want to get a destoner if you can. It's an extra layer of protection to make sure that you're not, to damage your own equipment or somebody else's. So that's destoner. Now, Catherine, anything else you want to say? I mean, have we covered it?
Not all of it,
No.
but a good majority of it.
We're leaving out a very special set of it. We know what we're leaving out. We're leaving it out for you to fill in to see if you know what you're talking.
Yeah.
So, dear listener, feel free in the comments, go in there and tell us about these stoners. Tell us how you use them. Tell us how they saved your hide. Tell us about a nightmare situation where you didn't have one and that you wished you had. And at the end of the day, like we said, if you're doing small batch, just look through it with your eyes.
Right.
But if you're putting out a ton of coffee, it's not a bad idea to have that extra layer of protection, even in the specialty world, even after it's gone through the green machine. Which, by the way, I don't know if we said this, every bag of coffee that we bring in goes through that machine. Every single one. So even if it gets past all of that, it's always good to say, hey, we did everything we could. So check into that. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed making it, which this is a little field trip episode all the way to the other end of the warehouse. So it's kind of fun for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we hope you did. And we're excited to watch the Roast It Yourself podcast grow and reach more people and get more people into coffee roasting, help people get started in this because it's just a fun hobby to have.
Yeah.
And also a great business to be in.
Right.
We couldn't do it without the wonderful folks like Joe over here and the people that let us do this while they keep working and doing things that actually get coffee out the door and help people. So we're really, really thankful to our crew here, the people that help our audio and video, make us sound and look good, and all that good stuff. So remember, send any questions you have to questions@riypod.com. Otherwise, have a great day. Happy roasting.
Thanks, Daniel.